Hi, I'm Beth Whitaker, and welcome to Artmaker Farm's Cultivating Creativity, based on Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And I'd also like to introduce you to Bessie. And Bessie is this week's sense of safety for me. The first episode, you met my audience of stuffed animals, and last episode, you met a few key players that helped me to feel comfortable in front of the video camera. And today, Bessie is my buddy, and we're going to be talking about discovering a sense of identity now that we have a safe place within us to nurture our creativity. We need to find out what that's all about. Who are we, after all? And if there's any animal in the entire world that I'm aware of that has a very clear sense of identity, it's Bessie. Bessie is confident and fun and such a character and consistent with that. And so that's our goal, is to find out who's the little puppy inside us, okay? So Bessie, you want to say hi to everybody? Oh, thank you. I just want to check in to see how things are going for you from last week's exercises. And the first and most important one is to evaluate how things are going for you with the morning pages. And again, the morning pages are 3 pages of stream of conscience, first thing in the morning, to get in touch with what's going on inside you. And if you're able to do it every morning, fantastic. If you're not able to do it every morning yet, I hope that's going to be one of your goals, because it really is a critical pathway to discovering what's going on inside you. Another thing to check in on are your blurts, those undermining thoughts that we will sometimes have about ourselves and our journey, and if it's working out or not. And they get stronger. I mentioned before, they get stronger as we get stronger. And so be aware of them. And maybe you're having some new thoughts that weren't there last week, and new voices of people who may have said something that hurt you and stopped you from being fully expressive of yourself. And these things it's good to keep a note of them in your workbooks when they happen, just to make them real and make them, stable, and be able to go and work on them when the time is right. Another exercise that we learned last week was the artist's date. And the artist's date is 1 to 2 hours every week, just doing something for yourself, with yourself, to fill the creative well. Your experiences are important to get in touch with what gets you excited, what makes you happy. And you should be doing this every week. It is not frivolous. It's important. You should play. You should find them interesting, but make sure that you do them. And write about them too in your workbook. Make a note where you went, what you saw, what you did, how you felt. It's all part of the process of connecting with that creative part of us. Another thing to be aware of is that as we change, the people around us are going to start pushing back. They may be very comfortable with the way that we were when we weren't as connected to our creativity. And they may be starting to say, hey, what's going on here? You're changing, and what's that all about? In a way that may make you doubt that this journey is something that you need to take. And you need to be strong, and you need to say, I'm doing this because I want to do this, I know I should be doing it, and separate yourself from what other people's opinions of that is. Be strong to be connected to what's inside that you have been keeping from expressing. When you establish that you're committed to this journey, whether it's wholeheartedly or even half-heartedly, you're going to start to ask yourself the question about, what am I going to find out? Who am I after all? And so coming to understand and know and be familiar with who you are is also a process, because parts of you have been hidden or lost for a long time. I mean, it's true with anyone, even in the most creative professions and with the most creative life. There are always things to know and learn about ourselves. That itself can be a little intimidating and fear-inducing, and those are blocks, and we have to identify them, get to know them, and reassure ourselves, use those affirmations that this is all okay, we can do this. When I was evaluating how, what might be a good way of showing the importance of discovering your identity and how that can be done, I was reminded of a Russian nesting doll when I was very young, taking it apart. It only came out at Christmas time, so it wasn't something that I could just do anytime. It was a special activity. And in case you don't know what a Russian nesting doll is, I will show you mine. This is a doll that's made of layers. And when you take it apart, inside, there's another layer. And this one I think has 8 or 10 layers. Anyway, when I was a little kid, I was playing with this, and of course, one of them got lost. So when I put the whole doll together, I could hear that there was something missing inside of it. And it wasn't whole. Sorry, that squeaked. It wasn't whole anymore. There was something missing. And that's what happens to us when we miss the part of us that is important, the creative part. So what I would suggest to you is think of yourself as a Russian nesting doll. And what you're going to be doing is going back through the layers to discover the part that's missing. There's something very Zen about not being focused on what you're looking for in order to see it. And other times you have to be very purposeful about what you're missing. So it's an interesting process, and this is a good metaphor. And when I thought of this, I thought, gee, that'd be fun to make as a project. So I went and I bought a blank set of 10 nesting dolls, which I haven't received yet, and I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. Whenever it comes, I'll start working on what do I do with it now. But I thought it's a really good metaphor for how we can feel whole, look whole, but a part of us is missing. What we're going to be understanding is what are the people, who are the people, and what are the activities that will identify what's missing. Who makes us feel excited? What do we do and that allows us to be totally involved with what we're doing? And these exercises will help you start to understand what those things are. Our goal is to change what self-doubt we have about this creativity within us and turn it into self-exploration. It's there, it wants to be found, but our blocks are keeping us from finding it. So stick with us, and you'll be able to discover the creativity that's been there all along. There will be a number of different emotions that you will feel along this journey, and Julia Cameron lists a whole bunch of them. One of them is giddiness, and I can personally tell you that giddiness is definitely part of it. There's a lot of negative emotions as well, and that's all good. We have to feel in order to know that we're alive and that we're doing something that's exciting. One of the things that does happen for us is, for our artist states especially, we'll be doing things that are new, that we think could be exciting, but also you can do something familiar. what's happening is those familiar things will seem like they're new because you're approaching them from a different state of awareness. You're looking at something that you've looked at maybe many times with new questions, new interests, new insight. And it's all good. It's all feeling more and more of what makes you excited, what makes you interested. Now, in this week's chapter in The Artist's Way, there are a number of things to be looking out for at this point in your journey. And one of them is what she calls poisonous playmates. And these are friends that we have that maybe liked us just the way we are and aren't necessarily there in support of our change and interest to discover our creativity. And we need to be strong and committed and know that what we're doing is for us, very important, and don't give up. Keep up with that. Another type of person to be careful of in your life are what Julia Cameron calls crazy makers. And crazy makers can fit under a number of different psychological categories, but they're the people who, when they walk into a room, they become the center of the storm. And they don't want anybody else's creativity, self-expression, to take away from getting their attention. And whether or not they're secure in who they are, they don't want you to find out who you are. You may hear yourself telling you some of the things that that a crazy maker could tell you about. And Julia Cameron lists a whole bunch of these techniques that they use to distract you from your journey in this process. Be aware of them, read it very carefully, and recognize that they exist in your life and that they should be marginalized. You need to take care of yourself. This is self-care. Treat yourself kindly. Get help if you need. Whatever it takes for you to reconnect with that creative partner in you that needs a bigger voice, make sure that you give them the opportunity, okay? Another thing to be careful of is the creeping skepticism that you might find in your thoughts. Now, you've been doing the morning pages, you're getting out, you're being more aware of those things around you that bring you joy, happiness, interest. And things are maybe starting to happen for you. People are coming into your lives that support your creative expression. Friends give you opportunities that they know you'd be interested in that they wouldn't have offered before, things like that. But you're starting to say, this is just a coincidence. It's not because I'm doing all of this work. That's self-doubt, that's skepticism, that's something that's trying to get you to think that this process is just bunk. Well, it's not bunk. I can tell you it's not. Other people will tell you it's not. It's work, and it's working. The universe hears you, believe it or not, and your awareness of what's possible is growing. And so things will come in, and being a skeptic will keep that out. Let the skepticism go and allow things to come into your life. Another thing that you have been learning how to do, and is changing things for you, is you're learning how to pay attention. Pay attention to things in a different way, and that's true for your artist states. And that can be true in many circumstances. And this is a very tough portion of the book to read because Julia Cameron describes two very painful moments in her life where she healed through the process of paying attention to the world around her. And I highly recommend that you read this section, understand what the value is of paying attention to the growth that you're starting to feel inside you and will carry you in the future. So now we're going to talk about the tasks that this part of the program allows you to participate in. And the first task, you just go back to page 3 in the Artist's Way book and read the basic principles. The basic principles, read once a day, every day for the next week, help to allow you to understand why you're doing this in the first place. How to do this in the first place. And it's helpful to remind yourself that you're taking on this process to encourage a better life for yourself. The next exercise and task is to get your workbook and write in it an evaluation from the past week. What were your 5 major activities? The things that were most important and took the most time, write each of them in your workbook and give them a time frame. How much time did you spend on them? And then give each one a label. Was it for you or was it for someone else? And then put together an idea of how much time your activities were spent on you. It's important to know that the amount of time you're spending for you is enough. The next task is to draw a circle, and inside the circle put a list of the names of people who are important to you, who help support you and encourage you, and the topics that you're interested in. On the outside of the circle, include the names of people who make you feel especially vulnerable to be yourself. This is an important exercise to put in perspective the people that you want to keep close in your life. The next task is to list 20 things that you enjoy doing. Could be big, could be small. And then put a date on when each one when it was that you did each one last. This is a good resource for artist dates. If you've run out of ideas or need some inspiration, go to this list. But for now, take 2 of those items and do little pieces of them. Like if you like photography and you have a camera on your phone, give yourself some dedicated photography time at lunchtime, like 15 minutes. Take 5 photographs. The next task is to go to the list of affirmations in the Artist's Way, and also the one that you wrote in your workbook from last week, the last episode. Read them again and pay attention to 3 of them that affect you the most. And it could make you nervous, it could, whatever it is, whatever emotion you have attached to those affirmations, 3 of them, write them down, and write them down every day. And could be first thing in the morning pages. And that helps you understand a little bit more about why you're uncomfortable with those affirmations and how to incorporate them in a positive way in your life. The next task is to go to your list of alternative lives and add 5 more. And again, incorporate a couple of the things that related to them in the next week. The next task is to draw a circle and divide it into 6 equal parts. One is going to be exercise, one is going to be play, work, spirituality, friends, and romance adventure. So on each line you have a label. And then with the center of the circle being not at all, and the outer circle being fantastic, you're going to put a dot where you are with that topic right now. And then connect the dots. And you're going to be able to visualize what parts of your life don't get enough attention. You need to get closer to fantastic. And spend a little time on some of those this week. The next task is to make a list of 10 things that you'd like to change in your life. It could be big, could be small, and write them out as a list. I would like to, whatever, 10 times. Choose one that maybe isn't so much of a challenge, and do it. I'd now like to introduce you to a neighbor and friend who some time ago did the exercises in the Artist's Way. Actually, she did it twice, and her name is Carmel Furtado. And she has a lot to say about her experience with the Artist's Way, and we're meeting with her in her home office up in Dorset. The first question I'd like to ask is, when did you realize that you enjoyed being creative, and what was it that you were doing?
When I was 5 years old, my grandmother taught me to embroider and to knit. And I was a quiet kid anyway, and I think she just wanted activities to keep me occupied because we were traveling. So she said, draw me a picture, and I drew her a picture, and she took me to the yarn store and bought me a hoop and a piece of fabric and the thread and the needles, and she taught me how to do embroidery. And then when we got home in the fall, she taught me how to knit, and so I was knitting doll clothes and stuff like that.
Have you been able to incorporate what you learned when you were doing the Artist's Way into other parts of your life?
One of the most immediate changes that came out of the Artist's Way for me was a trip to Italy. I decided I wanted to go to Italy. I wanted to study with a teacher in Italy, and I was going to do it. And I did. And I was there for 2.5 months. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. I actually wanted to go to the Royal Academy of Needlework after high school. But in pre-internet days, it was so hard to get information. And then when I got information, it's like, this is not going to happen. I couldn't go overseas to college. So I ended up going to school in the city, which was fine because the entire city is a source of inspiration, as you know. You're talking about New York City. Yes. Yeah. Had I taken this when I was in school, the results would have been very different because I had a day job. It would, I had at that point more confidence in making my jewelry, but I also had people to back me up. And if I wanted to learn something new, if I would bring them a picture and say, how do I do this? I had people to explain this to me.
So do you recommend doing the Artist's Way for other people, maybe those who aren't in the creative arts?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the hardest work is at the beginning, and some of that is really painful. And if that gets somebody over whatever is blocking them in their lives, that's a good thing.
What's the best advice you can give someone who's working to discover more about their creativity?
Let me think about that. More about their creativity, just play. The Artist's Way tells you to do this. They tell you to go on these artist dates, which I stopped doing because they were just costing me money. Because for me to go on an artist date, I'm going to buy tools, or I'm going to buy gemstones, or I'm going to buy books. It's like, this has to stop.
Do you have examples of your jewelry?
I do. I put them on today just for you. This is actually the thing that I made that was the best-selling of all. It is, if you can see it, it's called an Ouroboros.
Is it a snake?
It's a snake. What it is, it's an archetypal, yes, it's an archetypal symbol that appears in all religions, and depending which religion, it is rebirth or recovery.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with the Artist's Way, and you've had a wonderful creative life from college on, and
it's not over.
And it's not over, and you've been able to work through some of the blocks.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks for interviewing me.
Thank you for joining me for this second week of the Artist's Way here at Artmaker Farm. The next episode will help you to develop the tools you need to have a sense of your own power. You will vacillate between feeling invigorated and skeptical. And stay strong, because it's all part of the process. Stay focused, stay curious, and stay brave. Thank you.